Want some bread? Today's loaf comes to us from one of my favorites, Jiddu Krishnamurti, and it goes like this. It is only the empty mind that can see clearly. Now, I don't think that Krishnamurti is saying empty in the sense of, not being too bright or not being the sharpest knife in the drawer. I think he means a clear mind, a mind that is empty of irrationalities, misconceptions, assumptions, expectations, things that, while sometimes useful, are largely problematic because we forget what they mean and what they are used for. I think personally that Krishnamurti is talking about the objective point of view. And this is something that we brought up in a previous video. I think was answering some questions about it for a friend of ours. And I think the Krishnamurti line that I did a while back was, the ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. Well, I believe he's talking about the same form of intelligence or the same type of outlook here again. Only the mind that is empty can see clearly, meaning the mind that is empty of biases, the mind that is empty of misconceptions and irrational beliefs, the mind that is cleared out of as much clutter as possible. As I've said before, I don't believe that we can achieve a purely 100% objective point of view. I think we'll always be somewhat biased, and our point of view will always be somewhat subjective, at least while we are in this incarnation, while we have these bodies, and while we feel like individual humans. Because I can only speak from my personal experience. And while I can observe and speak to others and determine that my experience has a lot of common points with other people's experiences, I can never truly know what their experiences are like. So everything comes from this perspective of my experience, this subjective experience. You can strip away a lot of the biases and misconceptions and all that stuff, and you can work diligently at it for the rest of your life. And maybe you will get there. Maybe you will become 100% objective. But I believe that you'll always be biased. You'll have the bias, at the very least, of an organism that wants to survive. You'll have the bias of a human being that wants the bare necessities at the very least, and maybe even more comforts. There's always some bias there. It has to be, because otherwise, if you're purely objective, you don't do anything, because there's no needs, there's no wants, there's no desires, there's no personality involved. It's just this computer, basically. So anyways, I'm not trying to say that you should unlearn everything, but if you can clear some of that clutter, I think Krishnamurti is at least partially right here. The more empty the mind, the more clearly you will think, and the more clearly you will see. So anyway, thought for the day. Thanks for joining me, and live well, my friends.